Show here. We was just joined by East Carolina Pirates head football coach Ruffin McNeill. Now we're joined by my guy, Cowboys fan, CowboysHQ.com, one of the best writers about the Dallas Cowboys out there who keeps it real about the Cowboys. You know, he's a fan like I am, Mr. KD Drummond. KD, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate that intro that you just gave me right there. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. Had on this week 17. Dallas Cowboys clinched the NFC East title, got the job done. They performed under the pressure, came out against Indy, just blitzed those boys. Offense was clicking, defense played well. Arguably could shut them out except for a penalty late in that game and let them score a touchdown right there. What is your assessment of the Dallas Cowboys right now as we go into week 17? And should the Cowboys play their starters or just bank on the 3 seed and worry about playing either Arizona or Green Bay in the wild card weekend?
Well, first of all, it was just a pleasure to watch the Cowboys put it all together like they did against the Indianapolis Colts this past Sunday. As you mentioned, their offense and defense, they was all clicking on all cylinders. They got a couple fortuitous bounces to start the game. The taunting penalty after they were stopped on the third down. Then, of course, the fake punt that Dallas inexplicably came out of covering the gunner for the second week in a row, and the Colts could not complete that pass. Those two things set things in motion for the Cowboys to jump out to the early lead, and they capitalized on those opportunities and then went ahead with the onslaught. I think the key is that we're seeing in the Dallas turnaround these last few weeks, and they scored 121 points in the last 3 weeks against the Bears, Eagles, and now against the Colts. Best point total for a 3-week stretch in the NFL. The key is that they're not only doing well on third down on offense, they're also now doing well on third down on defense, and that's been something that they haven't been able to do for the majority of the season. They actually rank near the bottom of the league in third down conversion percentage against. So being able to keep drives alive, stopping drives, and then also their big play production, turnovers, plays of more than 20 yards, runs of more than 10 yards. These are things that Dallas is dominating in over the last 3 weeks, giving them the impetus that they need in order to have these blowouts in the last 3 weeks.
Now, Katie, getting into some of these playoff implications, for the most part, the NFC is set, except for, I think, the NFC South. The Panthers and Falcons could flip-flop there, depending on that division and what happens in Week 17. Do you think that, I mean, the Cowboys are set up pretty nice right now. They're projected to play the Cardinals as we speak. If they win that game, they'd go on to play the Lions, I believe, in the second round contest. And that's a much better draw, in my opinion, than potentially playing the Packers in the first round, then maybe having to go on to play the Seahawks in the second. I don't know how it plays out. You would think that they'd want to rest their guys in Week 17, especially with some of the injuries they've had, obviously with Murray. Romo's back as spotty, issue. Witten's no spring chicken. He could probably use a week's rest. Where do you come out on that? Do you think they should keep the foot on the gas because they did play so well last week, keep it going into the playoffs, or do you think they should kind of maybe do it like a half and half thing, play some guys for the first half and let them sit the second?
I would much rather them do at least a half and half thing. And even more to the point, Dallas still has an outside, a very remote chance of gaining home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. If Arizona and Seattle both lose and Detroit and Green Bay tie, which I know is a 1% chance of that happening, that rarely happens more than once in the season. We've already had the tie in the NFL for this year, so it's not likely to happen. But Dallas plays the early game, and without knowing the results of those other games, the Detroit-Green Bay game and the Arizona and Seattle respective games, Dallas still, I think, needs to play as if they have that opportunity, because they do. It would be the worst situation in the world if Dallas came out half-cocked and did not play to their fullest extent, and then the unthinkable happens, Detroit and Green Bay tie, and they could have had a bye week and then home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So with those things still open, I think Dallas has to approach the game as if it still matters for their playoff lives. I like the intensity that Dallas has been playing with. I do not want them to fall back and to take their foot off the gas pedal and say, we're only going to play a half. Keep this intensity going. You're on a roll. What's the point of being on a roll if you're going to then take your foot off the gas pedal voluntarily and say, we're not going to give our best effort for a week? Because you never know if you're going to recapture that. If you're forced into a bye by virtue of having a home field advantage, that's one thing. But doing that voluntarily is not a way that I'd like to see the Dallas Cowboys progress.
And KD, another point I want to make about the Cowboy defense. Lando McClain has been a godsend for the Dallas Cowboys, also with Hitchens and Bruce Carter. But this past week, Brandon Carr played the best thing him played in a long time for the Cowboys. You have Tyler Patman, Sterling Moore with Skandrick inside, and Barry Church and J.J. Wilcox. The Cowboy defense is not the big names that you are used to seeing on defense, but the guys play hard. They fly to the football, and even this, Rob Marinelli's rushmen, as he calls them, are actually moving quarterbacks off the spot and getting to the quarterback and causing the quarterback to be rushed and feel pressure in the pocket, which allowing those guys to make plays on the back end. So talk about the Dallas Cowboy defense and how Rob Marinelli's being a defense coordinator this year has helped the Cowboy D improve with his fight, hustle style of coaching.
Well, I think the key for the Cowboys defense is actually the Cowboys offense. For one thing, it's allowing them to be on the field less. By the virtue of the Cowboys running game taking so much time off the clock, the defense is on the field for less snaps. So less talented guys aren't as worn down, and as the game progresses, they tend to have more of an impact because they're still fresh as opposed to last season when they were on the field for 60 to 65 plays. The ways that Dallas wants to come with on defense, I think, is making a big difference as far as what they're doing. You mentioned Brandon Carr. He did have the best game that he's had pretty much for me all season. He wanted to remind everybody that he wasn't, that he is who we thought he was with that pass interference that gave us the shutout. But the other guys you mentioned, Orlando Skandrick, Sterling Moore, they're having incredible seasons as a cornerback. I would expect those two actually to be the starters next season. We can talk about that in the offseason when we talk about the Dallas Cowboys plan. But I'm very comfortable with saying those are going to be my two starting corners next season if the Cowboys choose to move on from Brandon Carr. J.J. Wilcox has made incredible strides, interceptions in back-to-back weeks against Philly and against the Indianapolis Colts. He's come a long way as that over-the-top safety. I originally thought he was only a box safety, but he has shown improved. He does have the capability of roaming that center field. As we all know, he didn't have a lot of experience at safety in colleges. He was a converted running back in his senior season at Georgia Southern, and the Cowboys saw what they needed to see, and it seems like that's coming to fruition for them. But all in all, the Rod Marinelli defense, the way that he wants to bring waves of defenders, the ways that he wants to use his scheme and stunts and things of that sort in order to fool the offensive line and constantly have them guessing where guys are going to line up. Henry Melton has played 5 technique on the outside. Tyrone Crawford has played 5 technique, 1 technique, 3 technique. The ways that he's bringing, and we still don't have a true pass rusher, a true elite right defensive end that's making any noise. A lot of talk has been said recently about Jerry Jones admitting or questioning his decision to jettison DeMarcus Ware at his huge salary. He's questioning whether that was a good move. I've always said it was, because one of the quietest things that people don't talk about is the fact that when DeMarcus Ware moved on, and he is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, I miss him dearly in his play on the field, but his personality was one of a friendly guy. And when your best player is a friendly guy, that attitude permeates the entire locker room. Since he's been gone, the defense has now turned into a bunch of pit bulls and bulldogs. They are aggressive, they are mean, they are nasty. It is led by Orlando Skandrick and Orlando McClain, and I do not think that happens, that the defense gets that attitude if DeMarcus Ware is still in Dallas.
That's an absolutely fantastic point. And I'm going to flip it over to the other side of the ball, KD, and I'm going to talk about the man under center, Tony Romo. A lot has been made recently about his run for MVP this season, and a case can be absolutely made for that. He's played great. They throw out there his top-ranked QBR rating for the season. I don't put much stock in that number, but he is playing at a high level, playing through injuries, seems to have very good command of that offense. And as we saw last week, it's starting to click on all cylinders. What do you attribute his success this season to? Now, I mean, obviously he's been a successful quarterback throughout his career, gets a bad rap in many ways, but this year specifically, what do you think? Has there been a switch thrown with he and Jason Garrett, more cohesiveness there? What is it for you that makes Romo click this year?
I think you hit on a very good point. The offensive system that they're running this year compared to previous years, and that's all predicated on the fact that they are now a run-first team. Putting the onus on Romo to do what's necessary around the running game as opposed to putting the entire game on Romo's shoulders has made all the difference in the world. It's been a long time coming. Basically, if you look at the course of Romo's career, when the Cowboys had an offensive line and they used to pound the rock with Marion Barber and Julius Jones and all of those guys from 2006 through 2009, the Cowboys were a successful team. When the offensive line deteriorated, got old, they had to make that transition and went away from the running game and became passing 65, 70% of the time. The Cowboys have not been a very successful team because if you make Romo throw a tremendous number of passes on a regular basis, sooner or later those errors crop up. It happens to every quarterback in the NFL, not just Tony Romo, but because he's a Dallas quarterback, that makes a lot of the news. But now that they've gone to a run-first system and Tony Romo is passing as a result of the run, and they're in good down and distance situations, and he's not always facing third and long and trying to make miraculous plays because that's just what the situation calls for, he has become an elite quarterback. It's not just QBR that he leads the league in. He leads it in regular passer rating. He leads it in touchdown percentage. He leads it in passer rating on the road. He has a 125.4 passer rating on the road. Cowboys are 7-0. You can't put those stats against any other quarterback in the league and not tell me that Romo isn't playing the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Aaron Rodgers is not good on the road. Aaron Rodgers is not good in comeback situations. These are just simply facts of the matter. I'm not saying Rodgers isn't the greatest quarterback over the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not saying Tom Brady isn't a first-ballot Hall of Famer that's been the best quarterback his entire career. This year, in 2014, Tony Romo was outplaying all of those guys.
And KD, I tell you what, my brother, you brought the noise today. And like, we'll be watching out for the Cowboys this week against Washington. And my man, are you in the DMV? Are you going to the game this weekend, my brother?
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it very hard. It's really difficult for what I do as far as covering the team in order to be at a game live because I do so much stuff in front of the computer while the game's going on, making my notes, looking at my stats. But I might not be able to resist the satisfaction of being in that stadium and talking all that trash to all those Redskins fans.
Well, if you definitely go, I will be following you on Twitter. We'll definitely see the pictures, my brother. And, man, I want to tell you have a happy holiday season, happy New Year. We'll talk to you after New Year about the Dallas Cowboys. And go Cowboys, go DC forever for life, my man.
Definitely, man. Appreciate the opportunity to come on your show, man. God bless. Happy holidays.
You too. That was my man, KD Drummond. Get his website, cowboyshq.com. You don't want to know about the Cowboys? Check him out right there. After the break, got something else coming up for you real nice on the Bossman Show with John Beckler.
Hip-hop fans, I got a great album for you. The debut album from Family Grind ENT, True Speech and 313 Fresh. We're going to give you 2 discs, 33 songs of pure, genuine hip-hop. Albums available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, illstreetrex.com, and streaming live right now on Rhapsody, Beats Music, Spotify, Xbox Music, Slacker Radio, and SoundCloud. Check them out today. True Speech and 313 Fresh. Family Grind ENT. Believe in it. Get it. For all your photo, video, and voiceover needs, check out the fine folks at Blueberry Productions. They will take good care of you. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Check out their work at blueberryproductions.tv, the Facebook page, Blueberry Productions, also a Vimeo page, a YouTube page, and it's Blueberry, BLUBERRY, Prod on Twitter. Check them out today. Blueberry Productions, great people, great work, great service.